herself wide open to the beating sex in. She leaves a trail of honey to show me where she's been. She has the blood of a reptile just underneath her skin. Seeds from 1,000 others drip down from the king. Oh, my beautiful liar. Oh, my precious one. My disease, my infection. I am so ill. Devils speak of the way in which you manifest. Angels bleed from the tainted touch of a caress. To contaminate, to alleviate this loneliness. I know the depths like each are limitless. Oh, my beautiful liar. Oh, my precious heart. My disease, my infection. I am so ill. Oh, my beautiful liar. Oh, my precious heart. My disease, my infection. I am so ill.
Good call. Why didn't I think of that? Just gonna wear my "What in the World Are They Spraying" t-shirt, and then I didn't play Bet Chemtrails. What's wrong with me? Why don't I think ahead like that? That is, of course, Nine Inch Nails' Reptile. See if I can get away with that on a copyright strike with Peter Murphy singing in Trent Reznor's basement. Dedicated to the Sustainable King. So I got some news to report today. We'll do some of that. There's things that are happening in the world, and I miss you guys, so I just like to come on and talk to you. But I'm doing phone lines are open the entire time. So this is the number. Does it work for you? Apparently not. 206. It's a Seattle area code. Don't get me started. 809-0469. 206-809-0469. There's lots of 6s and 9s in that. It's very Tesla-like. That's why I chose it. 206-809. That's a number for any time I do a podcast. If you call in, I'll probably take your call. It depends on if I have a guest or not. And we do have some guests planned for this. So we'll do it up. 206-809-0469. Or you can qualify in the chat. We don't have super chat yet. So what people have been doing is, in lieu of this channel being monetized, which we need more watch hours, not a lot of people, we got a lot of new people, but not a lot of people subscribing. Those numbers don't look so good. Overall, they're good, but just this last few months, I don't know why. It just, I guess because you don't need to. You could get the notification button so you know when I'm going live, which is close to 5 every day. Kind of works for me. That's when my Thursday show ends, and just wink, wink, we might be doing after show over here. Because usually when I get done, there's just so much to discuss. I want to actually discuss what I just did because of the guests we have and the things we do on our Thursday show at achelli.com. But in lieu of super chats, you know, and how people, I guess, make money on the YouTube, we ask you to send a kind contribution to jackblood@hotmail.com, either PayPal or Zelle, Zelle. Probably have that at your bank. It goes from your bank to my bank. We don't have to cut in the good people at PayPal. But whatever works for you, I look at that, and then we'll be spreading the karma. You guys send me karma, I give you karma. That's kind of how we're going to roll with that. And I did that at the end of the last video, and it didn't work too good. So now I got to do it at the beginning of the video. Now you know why people do that. Now that that's all out of the way, we're all done with all the promos. No, wait, let me get to the commercial segment of. Oh, that's right. We don't have any sponsors as of yet. A couple of them I've turned down, so I don't know. Video games and stuff. I just don't even think you guys are going to buy that, and I kind of don't want to be pimping it. So there's just certain things I don't want to promote. And if you've noticed over the last 25 years of my career, I promote the stuff I use and that I think is going to be good for you. That's a good deal for you, but we're not doing that. So this particular video is sponsored by no one. Jack, why didn't you keep your mask on? You look so much more handsome with that. No, you didn't. Jetta, no, you were fine. Any call is good. So as a professional radio host, I have to give you guys kind of yes or no answers and then lead the witness, so to speak. Radio hosts used to be like lawyers. Not so much anymore. Now they're influencers. I did that in my best East Coast college accent. Been there, done that. Jean-Luc Godard. I'm going to start with that. Jean-Luc Godard died today at 91. His relatives are Swiss. He's another guy he made great films. No one can deny Jean-Luc Godard was an amazing French filmmaker who helped change the way people made movies, and they used to call them films back in the day because it was on film, but too numerous to mention. He was a polemicist, like you. He was a polemicist. This is what the obituaries are saying. Jean-Luc Godard, he was a polemicist. You don't hear that word enough. Kind of like heterodox. You know. A polemicist is a person who engages in controversial debate and uses independent critical mind in order to have that debate. He was 91 years old. He was sick, so he went to Switzerland and participated in an assisted suicide, death on your own terms most of us, Death on the Installment Plan. Great book. Death on Credit is the French version of it. Another. Okay, you understand now that maybe that's why I'm so messed up. Is I love French literature, French films, old 19th century Russian literature. Really love that. We're gonna get to all of that on the broadcast today. I don't know where to start. Oh, also today, Ken Starr has died today. Complications from surgery at Baylor in Texas. You know what that means? I don't know. I don't think anyone cared too much whether Ken Starr was alive or dead, although I'm certain there are people that wished he was dead, and maybe their wish came true. But he was 76 years old. If you remember, he led the Whitewater trial versus the Clintons, and was also most recently in just like 2 years ago, he was on the Trump impeachment team. That didn't work out too good for Trump. So I don't know. Rest in peace, Jean-Luc Godard and Ken Starr. Good luck in hell. No. I don't say that. Well, because you know what they did is they went on. This is the problem. They went to impeach Clinton, and they went on this massive fishing expedition, and they found the Monica Lewinsky stuff, and that's kind of where it ended up. Is that Clinton was deposed, and Slick Bill Clinton Rockefeller, he was deposed and then lied under oath that he did have sex with that woman, if you call it sex. And they recently did a movie about it. It's pretty funny, or a series on Netflix or something. And so, you know, a lot of Democrats are pretty mad about that. And now that it's been done to Trump twice, they're kind of mad about it too. Did never impeach Bush for some reason. That's because the Bushes were running shit in those days. Not so much anymore. So that's not really news. So I want to start with this. This is something that this is the stuff that bugs me. And I was watching my friend Jimmy Dore today, and he was reporting on this 22, I guess it's a story, it's about a couple days old. California is proposing some convoluted plan. And of course, it's California, so it's completely convoluted. It relies on several forms of institutions and government to all be working together, and the funding for it, and then the money that will go into putting it on a referendum to vote for it is, what am I talking about? It's $22 an hour for McDonald's employees, for fast food employees. It's kind of like some kind of a panel or a council that acts as a union for fast food, because as you probably know, I maybe don't, that McDonald's doesn't own every McDonald's that there is, that they're franchised out. Almost went there, but I am being politically correct. And so I know here in Seattle, you know, the minimum wage is $15. Most people are making $17. We have a local fast food chain called Dick's. You can get a bag of Dick's. It's actually quite delicious. Way better, way better than McDonald's, and probably a little bit cheaper. And they have taken it upon themselves to pay people a pretty high wage, higher than any other fast food place. And they offer money for school, paid vacations, some health care. You know, it's kind of a whole package. Now, you are working in a greasy burger place, and dude, this would be great for kids, especially with some of the money they kick in for your college and whatnot. And because let's face it, if you're an adult like us, probably everyone that's watching this now, or that will watch this someday in the future, we probably didn't do too good if we're our age and we're working in a fast food place. But it's not even our fault, because this is how the economy has gone. And like it or not, ageism is a thing. I've been job hunting ever since I can remember. Now it seems like a very long time. And the jobs I always get are from friends and people I know, and I'm connected. And but if I go for any kind of job interview in town, despite my very extensive resume running $1 million companies, whatever it is, as a manager, as a kind of an expert salesperson, or all the skills I have, I don't mind digging a ditch as long as I get paid right for it. But pretty much everything other than the ditch digging job is you walk in and they give you an obligatory interview, and when it's done in 3 or 4 minutes that you're not getting that job. And but the fact that we would be working at fast food, I mean, it doesn't say much for how things ended up for our generation. I guess whatever generation you're in, you probably shouldn't be more than 20-ish working at a McDonald's. And let's face it, it's kind of torture. So $22 an hour, it would go into effect if it's voted on and all this passes in about a year or two in California. I guess if you're a kid living at home, or you have a bunch of roommates, or you're kind of making it work, you can survive on $22 an hour in California. I know here it could be really hard. If you, I mean, you just remember back in the day, that's kind of what plumbers used to make, or expert carpenters, and you could buy houses and cars and have a pretty decent life for that kind of money. But why can't you now? And why doesn't people like my old pal Jimmy Dore or whoever, why don't they ever cover that? Because they're just so locked in to creating this kind of union environment. And I'm not anti-union. I'm definitely not anti-collective bargaining, and I'm certainly not anti-strikes or boycotts. Here in Seattle right now, in Washington, and all over the country, teachers are on strike just as school is about to start, and a lot of people are supporting that strike and think they should be paid more. And more importantly, as I've covered on some of my other podcasts and shows, I think kids deserve more in public schools, especially with all the money that we're spending. I think there's another issue of how they divide it up. Where you live is the kind of schooling you get. So poor kids get poor schooling, rich kids get rich schooling. Seems a little, excuse the term, racist to me. But they never get to the real issue. So they say that if they go $22 an hour for fast food workers in California, it's going to raise the price of fast food by 7%. So let's look at that. It's 7 cents on the dollar. You're going to buy $10 worth of food. It's going to be an extra 70 cents. I get it. It all adds up. But if that's true, that's not much to be concerned about. Of course, that's not true. And it will be 20 or 30% more added on to the cost of food, supply chain, and whatever BS they're peddling about why everything costs so much, why your meat is 33% more than it was last year, and your gas is 30% more than it was last year. These are never the issues that I guess Republicans don't want to cover that, and Democrats, so liberal socialists, whatever, they definitely don't seem to want to cover that. But why is it that you can pay $25 an hour, raise the prices of your product all around, so it's a vicious circle, and then on top of it, that's not enough money for you to survive? And who knows what's going to happen next year or the year after, how inflation is going to come, for our necks, puts fangs in our neck and either turn us into vampires or undead, or kill us altogether. It's just raising the minimum wage. I'm not against it, but it's just not the solution to anything. It's not going to help. It puts a lot of stress and strain on your community, on people that own small businesses. Big businesses, either like Amazon or somebody, find their way around it, right? They use a loophole, or they have lawyers, or because they're offset by the zero taxes that they pay, or whatever, I was going to use the C word, favored deal that they get through their lobbying and payoffs. I guess what's the difference? But this was always the argument. I remember when I was in Texas and minimum wage came up, and I just, took the kind of free market libertarian attitude to that and thinking, I just know that's going to cost me more money to go out and to do things. I don't have that money because I ain't making $22 an hour. But you know what it is? It's fees, it's taxes, it's inflation. It's all of the above. It's the monetary system in general, creating a class structure that's very hard to break through unless you're in the Lucky Sperm Club. I don't like people getting college loans, predatory. Let's call them what they are, predatory college loans. I don't like that. I don't want to pay for it. Well, why are you paying for interest on a college loan to begin with? And why are colleges expensive? Why can't you? I mean, there are countries, I know Libya was one before we bombed it and turned into a slave state, that there is a place you can just go get education. It's kind of like how insurance works. If you're rich, you get really, really good insurance and go to really good hospitals. And if you're poor, at least you can get health care and get along somewhere. It's kind of a mix. It's like, I guess you could even create a term for it called free market socialism, right? As long as it doesn't come from the state. Those guys made oil money and gave it back to the people, and then tried to organize and create their own money and own banking system and detach from, with BRICS and the rest of it. It just detach, from the overall world order, which is why Gaddafi ended up with a stick up his ass on TV. That's a lesson. That was definitely a lesson to everybody. I digress. This is the digression show. I'm Jack Blood. You're a digressor. So that kind of bugged me, and I don't know where this is going to go. I do know that in Seattle, you're pretty much going to make $20 an hour if you've got half a brain, and it's kind of what I make on one of my jobs. I'm not going to say how much taxes I pay on that or whatever. It definitely helps how I've got it situated, and there are ways to do that. It's hard to, beat your chest and be so proud of being a tax-paying citizen when it's just completely screwed up and unfair. And you never really hear that being the issue. Now, I know if you guys, check out Ron Paul or something, they're going to talk about that. But they're going to put front and center, especially Rand Paul, they're going to put front and center. We cannot afford to do this and can't afford to pay people, and we just can't afford. No, it's going to cause inflation. So it's a vicious circle. You got to pay me $30 an hour so I can survive, but that's going to increase inflation and everything's going to be more expensive. And then, of course, you have to pay more in taxes. So we're just not addressing the right problems. You can't just keep throwing money at a problem and expect any kind of, sorry for the term, equity, class equity, people equity. And I get it, we'll just go to college and get a degree and get a professional job and make professional money. I'm someone who made, 6-figure salaries in the 90s or whatever, and did pretty good in the aughts. Was able to, live okay and pay my bills. That's certainly getting harder to do every day, which is, why I implore you guys to support this show, because it's just one thing I can do. But there's just no way you can pay $30 an hour. It's not enough. And of course, with financial credit scores and personal credit scores and all the rest of it, I mean, good luck. Good luck buying anything. Good luck owning anything if that's your gig. I don't know. You start adding it all up. I mean, I did a list the other day of all the people I pay every month. It's insane. I grew up in an era where, yes, there was only 3 or 4 channels on your TV, but it was free. You could watch. I mean, just to watch. It's the first week of football. It's my weakness, okay? I like my football. Just to watch a couple of games. I had to sign up for 3 different things, and now I'm paying those guys. And then I'm paying the people so I can get the stream, so I could do this show. I'm paying the people so I can have electricity that would actually, make the internet possible and wireless and all that possible. I'm paying the landlord, and I'm not only paying the landlord, but I'm paying for her property taxes, which are passed along to me. I'm sorry, $22 an hour in a couple of years isn't going to cut it. And I just can imagine in California all the people who are cut in on this deal. Well, we're going to be sitting on this. I mean, you're going to be some privileged person. You're going to be sitting on the council to decide who gets paid what. There's going to be a lot of deliberation. It's going to take years. Then you're going to have lobbyists who float a bunch of blood money into elections so you can get things on referendums. Let's face it, most people, especially in blue states, they vote for every referendum that costs money that ever goes through. So, I mean, it's not hard to imagine that something like this would happen. But why do you have to look? I mean, it's a good thing we're not making $6 an hour. Okay, good for that. See, this is why minimum wage has to be kind of an issue, because you can't be still making $6 an hour. If you don't notice that what your wage is, if you're working for wages or hourly, call it however you say it, however you want, and that's not keeping up with the cost of living, something is wrong. Either the cost of living has to come down or the wages have to come up, but the wages coming up drives the costing of. So let's just bring down the cost of living. There's got to be ways we could do that without the fees. You want to, man, I got to do my car. Okay, it's time for me to register my car. Not only is that a major hassle that takes a lot of man hours and time to accomplish, gas, man hours, time, waiting, bureaucracy, paperwork. I mean, the whole thing is just so daunting. I almost would rather just get pulled over, but I can't. So, I mean, I've got to go through that gauntlet, and I've got to pay the taxes on all of that, and then the fees and the taxes on the taxes. You pay your utilities. You've got taxes on your utility, stuff on your utility bill that doesn't even make sense, but you can't argue because they have a monopoly, so they'll just turn it off. Public-private partnerships. I mean, there are some things that are good public. I'm not going to lie. I don't want the people that are in charge now running that stuff. That's for sure. I want us to be able to run things on a community by community basis. That would work out good, I think. I mean, so these are some of the issues. And again, I mean, a lot of this can be solved if you use some pretty basic critical thinking and apply it to the actual problem instead of the solution. See, and that's kind of where we're at. Well, here's a problem. Let's get a reaction, but they've already got this solution in mind. But the solution itself should drive the problem. And I guess that's kind of what the Hegelian dialectic is. And I guess that's what they have their own solution. That is, keep people down and don't pay them anything and make everybody a slave. A work slave, working poor, keep them poor. So if we supplant that, instead of falling down the line of the Hegelian dialectic of thesis plus antithesis equals synthesis, problem, reaction, solution, if we get our own solution and work backwards, then perhaps we can have something halfway decent to give our children, because that's the problem. 206-809-0469. It's my Skype number. You can call in. I'll click you on. It should work. We did it before. And this isn't just California. And it isn't really even just blue states. This has been a reaction all over, as opposed to Republicans saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and shut up. That's a whole other way to go. I'm not big on that one. Newsom signs fast food law, setting stage for a $22 an hour pay next year. Of course, it will be. So everything's always in the future. California governor backs legislation despite strong objections from the fast food industry. Who do you think's going to win? California or the fast food industry? Vote on it. There's a yes or no answer. Who wins? The massive fast food industry or the state? Well, we already know who one of the losers is. It's going to be the people. And so it's very difficult to. Oh, one of the things I figured out, I'll just throw this in real quick. I've been trying to figure out why Drudge is so anti-Trump, and he kind of laid it out today. He's for DeSantis, yeah, the Florida governor. He's one of those Republicans. I guess he probably is one of the people that still support Lindsey Graham because he had a kind of a pro Lindsey Graham thing on his page today. I don't go over there a whole lot, but I'm just trying to unlock the combination, trying to figure out like what's going on with this dude because he was a big Trumper there for a minute. And of course, in the news today or yesterday week with the Steve Bannon, he was Trump's brain for a minute. Somebody I don't agree with on a lot, but do kind of like his minarchist, almost / anarchist attitude on a lot of things regarding institutions. I don't know. It's probably all just talk, but on some level, it looks like he does kind of believe what he's saying and has been a pretty strong activist. I think it's fair to say if you like Trump, without him, he probably wouldn't have gotten elected. So he goes in and, they've been icing him. They've been after him, Steve Bannon. And so he goes and turns himself in. First thing they do is handcuff him and frog march him, because that's red meat for the blue team. But simultaneously, 30 or more subpoenas have gone out. More cell phones are being confiscated. This is the authoritarianism state that both sides, both the phony left and the phony right, let's call them what they are converging on. Both the left and the right converging on authoritarianism. Whatever we're talking about, I mean, we just want health care or something, or we just don't want to have to pay $1 million for a checkup or insurance or be punished for walking around breathing, or for saying and speaking our mind when it's not violent or it shouldn't be hurtful to people who have normal emotions. And to fight because we have been so polarized and balkanized, because the divide and rule effect is being played on every level with 4D chess, with computers and satellites and every new possible device, including chemicals. And let's not forget, if we're talking about fast food, I mean, let's keep those chemicals. Let's keep pumping those chemicals. It's got MSG in it. That's why it's so good. Funny how if you don't eat that immediately and 20 minutes later, it tastes like it's been in the garbage in, garbage out. And whether that's politics, whether that's fast food, whether that's policy, whether that's information, it applies. And we are responsible for ourselves. Crazy, right? We're responsible for what we put in, which will lead to what we put out. So to see, and this has been my issue now since at least 2015, 2016, to see this divide and rule, this balkanization, this divide and conquer mentality being used with effect. Well, what happens when you say this to people on your social media? I'm sure many of you have posted this and you see something and you go, this is divide and rule. They're dividing us. Why do you let them divide us? And people are like, whatever. Uh-huh. Oh. That sounds a little cliche. It's not cliche if it's true. Polemicists, my fellow polemicists. So, crazy enough, Reason, which has been considered now, I guess it's considered a complete right-wing rag. Reason, free minds, free markets. Many of you know Reason is kind of the, a little gatekeeper-ish. You know, they're kind of the front door to libertarianism regarding media. I know there's some better ones out there, but they're the ones that have the money and get the credit and are invited to be pundits on shows, everything else. This show's making me very thirsty. This show's making me very thirsty. Funny enough, they wrote an article on this. Both left and right are converging on authoritarianism. Authoritarianism. Okay, depending on how you count, that's 7 or 8 syllable word. The problem with American politics isn't polarization. It's rising illiberalism. It's a lot of isms. They're saying the problem with American politics isn't the polarization, and because we've always, and they make a good point, we've always been polarized in one way or another, depending on your perspective, depending on your experience, depending on the family you grew up on, the neighborhood the environment, everything, right? It's rising illiberalism, which is a term you don't hear too often. Thank you. I was telling them this pretzels are making me thirsty because I wanted an excuse to drink this beer. I'm not drinking beer because I want to be drunk. It's because I'm thirsty. My sweet girl just brought me water. She heard me saying that. This show's making me thirsty. 206-809-0469. You're not going to try it out? What, you got scared? Don't be scared. I won't bite you. Definitive opening sentence. Something is broken in our politics. Well, everyone, hey, that's something we could all agree on, right? You see, we are not divided. We all agree shit's fucked up. I don't think they're allowed to write that, nor am I probably allowed to say it. We'll get to the bottom of this. Well, the key word there is something. Like the song. We'll try to use some large syllable words to figure it out for you. At Reason, which no left-leaning person I know would ever read or agree with, just on face. So, right, just about everyone knows it. It could be hard to put your finger on what it is. Let's figure it out. Hey, 507, I'm just taking people when they call in. So even if I'm right in the middle of one of my rants, you're on the air. You're on the Jack Blood Show, Deadline Live TV. Cool.
Well, hey, you asked for a call, man. I'm calling in. I just wanted to see if this thing worked or not.
I know, right? It's amazing. I hear you now.
Your old pal, J-Fop, a.k.a. Jared.
Hey, man, what's going on? So see, even this broken down channel has a couple of features to it.
Yeah.
This one's for you.
Good. I'm kind of digging it more and more, other than I have to, see your face and stuff. But, I'm over that. That's all good.
Well, yeah, I know.
Joking.
Good one. No, we're going to have video. We'll get you guys on video here real soon. We're just trying to get the right applications and to test them out and use them in our very broken down systems here. But it's cool. It does work. 206-809-0469. I mean, so I just kind of opened up and talked about the few deaths because everyone wants to know about that, who died today. And then talking about the minimum wage, which you never hear. It doesn't matter if you're far left, far right, or anywhere in between. They never give you the kind of golden clause, which is, hey, why is everything so expensive all the time? And why do we even need to be making more money? And why isn't there never enough money? And why could I be making $30 an hour right now? Because I'll lose $10 right away through withholding and various taxes and more if I live in a tax state. Maybe even more, they say, if you live in a non-tax state because of the regressive taxes on poor people. More if you like to smoke a cigarette every once in a while or maybe have a beer. The fees for driving and gas and taxes on everything, it just never seems to end, and it constantly goes up on a much more rapid fashion than what people are being paid. I don't know. I mean, the answer seems to be stop that, and maybe you won't have to raise the minimum wage, or maybe that could come down for a little bit. But the answer is always just throw money at it and create a bureaucracy to regulate how that money is going to go out and when it's going to go out and who it's going to.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, we are spending so much money, and then when we go out and, Congress makes this bill that's, billions and trillions of dollars, and then we got another bill that's trillions of dollars, and I mean, that none of that money existed before. They're borrowing it, putting it into existence, and then expecting, we're getting, the chickens have come home to roost is what's happening. Is that we've made created all this money through, basically since 2008 with the bailouts, and then you get into the recent quantitative easing and the Fed literally buying up assets. They create the money, and then they go out and use that money to buy up our stuff. And it's it's like, how does it end? I don't know. I think it's all got to pretty much blow up, and I think it's getting ready to blow up pretty soon. I mean, I've been feeling that for 15 years.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, people have been saying that forever. I mean, literally for thousands of years. Yeah. And it sounds like, when I hear Rand Paul start talking about how we can't afford, okay, so on the one hand, he'll say something like, we can't afford to support Ukraine constantly and send them tens of billions of dollars, and that's on the books, not the stuff that's off the books, and we can't afford to fight the drug war. And he makes a lot of good points. Obviously, bureaucracy and waste and all the rest of it. And this new inflation bill that allegedly went through today already took people's 401k down another 5%. Not that should matter, right? You don't need money to live off when you retire. Just work forever. You can get a job at McDonald's and maybe they'll pay you $22 an hour. Yay. There's my retirement. I don't get to travel. I don't get to chill. I don't get to play golf. I don't get to spend time with my grandchildren. No, I got to go work at McDonald's 40 hours a week because my 401k was raped by the Federal Reserve and their cohorts.
Well, if you're lucky, you took the shot, and you're probably going to die fairly soon any damn way. So there's that.
That will thin out the herd. That will thin out the Social Security herd.
I could see that. Yeah.
I want my Social Security money now. I'm not going to live long enough to get it all back. Let me just start getting that right now. I don't pay taxes on that. And it's not an entitlement. I paid into it my whole life.
Yeah.
I'd like to have that back now. And I'd like to be able to have that choice. So there's things like that. But look, I mean, the bottom line is we do need to have safety nets for people. We do need to not have people living in the streets in tents. We do need to have people not running around with full-blown heart disease and cancer and every other goddamn thing. And yes, we could do better with education and helping people to take care of themselves, or you can make that choice yourself. I just don't want to live to be 91 years old or whatever. Kissinger, I think today turned 99 or whatever it is. I don't want to be, 97 years old, the Queen, or, I'm going to make that choice, and this is how I'm going to, live. And I'll sign something right now that says nobody has to take care of me or whatever. But there are people that need help, and mainly need help because the system itself is so corrupt and expensive that we can't participate in it, even if we wanted to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. So, I mean, there is a way some of that money can't be spent. I'm not against fiat. I think Congress should coin the money, Jared. I think that's a thing right now. You cut the legs off the
I'm
Federal.
not against that at all.
Cut the legs off the Fed, and it's still fiat, but we'll make some better decisions maybe on where the money goes instead of to the donors who donated to my campaign and made me president.
Yeah, sorry, I just got a text message in the middle of that from Heather. Heather says hi, by the way. You remember her?
Yeah, I love
Down
Heather.
there in California.
I love her. Yes.
She's a great gal. But anyway, yeah, she distracted me. She's like, "Oh, I heard you. I screwed up my computer." But anyway, but yeah, the whole money issue. It comes down. I've been thinking a lot about this. How do you fix the thing? How do you right all the wrongs of the world? Where does the utopia come from? And I think the only way to do that is to get rid of all the greedy bastards in society. And I don't know how you do that because we keep making them. They just keep coming, and that's just the way life is. But,
well,
all of our woes are from these greedy bastards that just want to make another damn dollar,
Yeah, the new Illuminati, if you want to call them that, they want 100% inheritance tax. I know a lot of people are really against that, and you would be, because you want to be able to leave money. You're not setting up a tax-exempt foundation like the Rockefellers or the Carnegies or the royal family or whatever, right? So you want to be able to, not spend all your money and leave something to your kids and leave them in a little better spot and not be taxed on it. And
exactly,
I think even the people that are really hardcore against 100% inheritance tax are okay. You only made $1 million in your life. We're not going to tax you, really. We're not going to take that. But they want that because they want to change over from old money to new money. And the people that are the new Illuminati, they're the new money, the techsters, right? These kind of people who want to wipe out all that old money and create a newer world order, right? But that is, I guess, if you want to really cut the legs out under the nepotism and the bloodline stuff that constantly goes on. I mean, I guess that's something to talk about. I'm not 100% into it, but it is definitely.
Well, I mean, it gets to, it's like the greedy bastard, and then that leads into the, I'm better than you, and then money's not enough anymore, and then you get to the control part, and then you end up where we're at now, and it's just like a never-ending cycle. It's just always people want to rule over other people, and there's a certain mindset of people that want to do that, and that's where it comes with the nepotism. It runs in the family, and there's some of us out there that want to do good, that donate to our local food banks, which, by the way, is like one of my absolute favorite charities. And part of that, I think, it's because of you influencing me on that.
I hope so. Thanks.
All the money I give it, like those guys are the best. I mean, because if you're hungry, you can't really get anything else done. If you get a full belly, you can go out and do a lot.
Well, it's just a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress, and then, of course, I did a whole thing on this, Jared. Thank you for being. Don't hang up yet if you don't want to, but I did a whole experiment on how poor people shop and how yuppies shop. And you go to the poor people's store, it's dirty, it's decrepit, everyone's in a bad mood, the music is horrible, the food choices are disgusting. And then you go down the street to the yuppie store, and it's really not that much more money depends. Don't go to Whole Foods or something, but I'm not talking about Whole Foods, but I'm talking about, there are some kind of little smaller chain. Yeah. And the lighting is better. The food is better. The music is better. The people are in better moods. So, it all kind of falls in line and goes together, because if you're not eating the right way and you're stressed about food, and just going to the store is just a disgusting enterprise altogether, you have a problem. During COVID, people were so generous, and we hadn't suffered the Biden-Harris regime yet, I guess. I hate to say it like that, but I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence. It's probably just a coincidence. I'm not, you Democrats out there, I'm not blaming them. It just is a big coincidence. But the food banks were full. You could go. We were giving out roasts and steaks and stuff. Yeah, they were frozen or something, but I mean, you would eat like a king. I didn't see people eat so good. When there's a disaster, a toy drive for all the kids every Christmas, the kids all have toys. We are a very generous people, but somehow, because again, the extra added stress of inflation and all the things that have been going on the last 2 years, and the PTSD from COVID and all the rest of it, man, your food banks suck right now. I mean, please find a way to support
Which is
that.
Messed up because so many people, like myself included, got stimulus checks. I didn't freaking need it. I'm of the point right now in my life, I don't need that shit. And I got sent that shit anyway. So, you just relay that on to somebody else. But fuck, then you wonder why inflation's happening. And then that just spirals the whole thing out of control. It's just,
okay, but listen, wait. But hold on, Jared. This is my bone of contention, is that if you tell me I can't work, I lost my job, I'm not allowed to go to work anymore because you closed down my entire industry.
No. I'm not disputing. I've heard your argument. I'm not disputing that whatsoever. You are 100% correct. I myself and my wife continued to work through the pandemic the whole time. We were never laid off. We never had time off. Yet I still got stimulus. Well, why the hell did I need that? That's what I'm talking about.
You should have given it back.
No, and I do give it. Well, I don't give it back to the freaking government because fuck them.
Jared, you should have sent it to the Ukraine.
Pay it forward.
You should have bought some bullets and mailed them to the Ukraine. Come on, what's wrong with you? Aren't you patriotic? You don't support the Nazis in the Ukraine?
Well, no, there's no Nazis in Ukraine. NPR told me so.
It's true. And Jon Stewart didn't decorate a bunch of Jon Stewart didn't decorate a bunch of Nazis at Disneyland recently. I know that never happened either.
Just that part.
What?
I didn't know that. I missed that.
Yeah, Jon Stewart, he went and gave medals to guys with like Nazi tattoos and Nazi flags and stuff. They toned it down for a second. They were injured in the war, and Disneyland honored them, and Jon Stewart loves veterans, so he went over there and put medals around their neck, and he's Jewish, and they're Nazis. So, I mean, that's, I guess, where we're at.
It's been long enough. They may as well bury the hatchet and make friends now, huh?
Talk while I plug in.
Okay, Jack's plugging some stuff in. By the way, if you don't know who I am, I'm Jay Foff. Jack Blood is my personal hero, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done Radio Confluence, which is kind of not a thing. We're still around, mixler.com/Radio Confluence. I'm going to plug it. We got a couple shows out there yet. I might actually go live again, start doing some more shows. Who knows? The weather's getting dark and cold out there, and I'll have more time inside, and I'll be kind of restless, and maybe do a show, play some records, talk some current stuff. I'm not as serious as Jack. Jack's like, he's a nerd about this stuff. He gets into all the news, does the deep dives and all that. And I respect the hell out of that. I don't know that I can do that, so I just do the best I can, which isn't very good. But I do it anyway.
All right.
Are we plugged in yet?
Yeah, I had to crawl under the bed and use the flashlight and high-tech stuff
okay?
we're doing here. I mean, this is almost InfoWars. It's so high-tech is what we're doing. At least I didn't get sued. At least I didn't get sued for all my money. So that's what money? I know. Now I've lost my glasses. See how old people, how am I going to survive in the complete meltdown and burn down of everything and to recreate institutions?
That's a first day.
I'm too old. I'm too old to make it. I can't even plug in my phone without some kind of an issue or my computer, but God bless America and God bless you all. I don't know. Hey man, appreciate the call. That's cool.
I was gonna say I probably took up enough of your time, so
no, man, and your support, super important, man. Thank you, and you go out there, you tell people about what we're doing here. It makes it easier, it makes it better. Cool.
To whoever will listen, I'll tell them. So.
Thank you, appreciate it. No, I'll keep trying to do a better job. We were talking about before we went to that, and you guys are welcome to call in. I'll just sit and take calls, but. We were talking about this story at Reason, the Robespierre of media. Not really. That people all know something is broken in our politics. Everyone knows it, but nobody knows why it is or how to fix it. That's the whole point of it. You're supposed to be upset and frustrated and disappointed and disillusioned. It just takes the wind out of your sails and you walk around like a zombie every day on fast food because not you, other people, obviously, but I know it's broken, but why? 20680, you tell me why. 206-809-0469. It's Deadline Live TV. I'm Jack Blood, your old pal, your old radio gun. 206-809. Write it down for next time. Put it by your computer, your phone, whatever. 206-809-0469. Phone lines are loaded. No. Those were the days. As the media attempts to grapple with this felt reality, they reach over and over for the same word, polarization. That, we're told, is the shorthand for what's gone wrong. We're polarized. We're dug in. Won't give an inch. I like to listen to other people and perhaps change my opinion, use critical thinking. Where the country once had its share of conservative Democrats and liberal Republicans and mushy moderates. Today, the two parties are more internally consolidated and further apart from each other than ever, which is a fucking lie. Do you guys believe that? Lindsey Graham's all the way on the right now. And Kamala Harris is all the way on the left. They have the same donors. They agree on just about everything. There's no war they wouldn't fight, and Lindsey Graham would lead the charge from behind. No pun intended. So Reason asks, what if that explanation is missing something? What if there's a sense in which the left and the right are actually converging? I call that occulty. That did happen 10, 15 years ago. They nipped that in the bud. The nature of that convergence is the real source of the perception that something isn't right. Okay, we're back to that again. Something isn't right. But that thing is that the left and right are converging. Oh man, if I had $1 for every time I've said that, y'all. The far left and the far right have way more in common than they know. That's why the Ron Paul people and the Occupy people, the original Tea Party, Ron Paul people and the Occupy people, really had a lot in common. Like Ron Paul was not so big on Trump and kind of big on Tulsi Gabbard. That can be accomplished, certainly, But if it ever happened, and it was about to happen when Occupy and the Tea Party, the original Tea Party, and the Ron Paul people all started kind of getting together, the truthers and on both sides. I know a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. It's like, yeah, this financial system, the business cycle, the bankers, the this, the that. I mean, okay. So what ended up happening in this story is that they did a bunch of research and polling. They found that over the last 20 years, I guess ever since 9/11, coincidentally enough, that something like 90% of Republicans are to the right of the middle, and 94% of Democrats are to the left of that. I think we're largely kind of living in this business-oriented Republican society, and anyone who's not with it has got issues. What's interesting is that both sides now, thanks to the effective polarization, want the other side policed or killed. That seems to be, well, we've gotten to that. We've gotten to the bottom of that story. That seems to be where everybody's at. The Democrats who were, against, who would talk about things like COINTELPRO and talk about Operation Chaos, Mockingbird, like different FBI programs, the CIA, all the rest of it, now need them to police you who disagree with them on face. So there is not really an answer to this. The answer is you need leaders. I think you need like real strong, charismatic leaders. And I know that's dispels fascism to the media today. You don't have those, and if you do, they get killed or minimalized or exposed or canceled or whatever else. I'm not voluntary. I'm way too old for that. If you had some kind of a central force that could act as a magnet to the far left and the far right and make sense and have concessions for everybody, and that's why, we have to be a little bit empathetic about what other people are going through. Hey, man, it's easy. Some of you're at that age where your parents had a good life in America. They made a lot of money. They had equity, right? Their house, I hate when I say right, their house, property, the cabin up in the woods, maybe some 401k stuff, some stocks and bonds and treasury or notes, gold buried under the floor. Because a lot of people I know my age had that. Their parents did good, and they've inherited that now as generational wealth. I mean, maybe not very much, but it's some generational wealth, and they have that now, and they're not very interested in the rest of us being okay. I mean, they'll virtue signal like motherfuckers, but they just don't. Sorry for my France. They just it's hard for them to care. These are the so-called elites. They're not elite. They're just like you, but well, they're just like some of you, because some of you are in that situation, and God bless you. I'm glad you are. Good for you. My parents are all dead and didn't make too much money, and the money that was left, like my brothers and sisters got it or something, because I'm the rebel in the family. I don't need help, and that's fine. I can't help myself. That's fine for now. But I'm so sick of hearing about this divide and rule thing. I'm personally just done with it. It's not enough to just say it. Something is going to have to be done, and here we are back to something again. Something has to be done to change it, or nothing will change and it will get worse. There has to be a serious movement to go into the other side and go, look, here's a list of the stuff that we're all on the same page of. Let's just work on this. The rest of it will happen later. And don't worry about who I voted for or what color hat I'm wearing or any of the rest of that. Don't get triggered, okay? Let's just agree that we agree on this and agree to disagree on a few other things. I mean, that's how it used to work. For the most part. No, there was no glory days like that, but that's what we were really close to. Post 9/11, all the work that we were all doing, that's what we were really close to doing. I remember, for me, the time that it all came apart and I really saw this OCUT thing starting to work and we were really getting in and talking to people. We did have leaders and they were talking to people and making sense. We were finding common ground and all the rest of that. If you remember, this was during the Obama years. You know how he hated those right wingers. Oh no, that's right. They went and raided Occupy camps and got rid of them. When Van Jones, one of the czars for Obama, remember we hate Russia, one of the czars for Obama got on TV and said, those guys are all racist. Just like, don't listen to them, kill them. I mean, he was literally advocating violence. Van Jones, who is now a very middle of the road moderate on CNN. Van Jones, czar, Cass Sunstein, czars. These czars, man. That changed everything. I think that Bush did unify the country. We were kind of all on that page at one point. Conservative, liberal, whatever labels they put on you. We were kind of all, hey, F this. We're sick of this. We're going to move on. 206-809-0469. I just want to let you guys call in. I'll read your comments. What else do I have on my docket here? Okay, everyone agrees Lindsey Graham is a douche. I did have that as a note. He has proposed a 15-week ban, a federal 15-week ban on abortion. So he's trying to codify abortion on that level, while I don't believe the Democrats are doing too much because it's such a great wedge issue for elections. They kind of love that. They can fundraise a lot on that. Probably why Lindsey Graham is doing it. He's grasping at straws. Should there be, I'm not going to get into, should there be a cutoff on abortion and when can you get one, when can you not? I mean, it's kind of not my business. I have my own opinions, but they are just that. I think that everyone agrees. It's so funny now that remember when the liberals loved Lindsey Graham? Him and John McCain. They're maverick moderate and we need more Republicans like that. They hate his guts right now. Just hate him. And so do most Republicans. The Alex Jones trial is starting over again, if you guys want to weigh in on that. So now he did the same thing that he did in the Texas trial. Him and his lawyers would not, and you can agree with this or not, they would not comply with discovery. So the court decides, the lawyers ask, and there is some negotiating. And what they really wanted was like the Google analytics to how much more traffic he had and therefore how much more money he made by saying that the Sandy Hook parents were all liars and actors and their kids weren't dead and everything that went with that. They did not comply. So once again, they were found, guilty by rote. So now there are 8 families involved as plaintiffs in this Connecticut trial, and a jury is being selected. I guess now they're going over just some of the rules and how everyone's going to behave. Good luck with that. And there'll be another financial judgment on Alex Jones for the promotion of Sandy Hook hoax theories. We'll be covering that if anything happens other than what I said. Again, you guys, if you want to weigh in on that, I've given you the number. I can't type it. The program I have doesn't let me type it on the screen, so that's kind of lame, right? I'll finish with this. Ukraine We've been giving them more money than anyone really knows. Let's just call it just what it's supposed to be, $80 billion. We can afford it. Ukraine has taken a lot of money, and therefore there needs to be some victories, some wins. And the propaganda in general must, of course, make Putin the target of revolution in Russia. You guys believe that there are a lot of people in Russia that want him out? He has been humiliated by Ukraine. His military is completely demoralized. They've lost ground. They're losing the war. I don't believe it. I myself don't believe it. And it just kind of flies in some of the facts that we know about how this kind of war of attrition has been fought, this proxy dirty war in Ukraine has been fought. But certainly, I think a lot of people, especially leading in, 40 days or something or less to the midterm elections. So people are very upset and want to know that all that money we've sent Ukraine is amounting to something. And so, boom, now you have some victories by Ukraine, who's just kicking the entire Russian military's ass. I just have a really hard time believing that. I have a hard time believing, because I know a lot of Russian people, that there's a big outspoken movement to oust Putin from Russia. I think that's just complete and total propaganda. It's election propaganda. It is war propaganda. You will never hear, especially not here on you. You get all the news on YouTube. YouTube are great. They're the greatest thing that ever happened to free media. It's not COVID. You're on the show, man. Thank you for calling in. You're live. What's up?
Hey, I just thought I'd pick the brain a little bit. I seen Scott Ritter was on Ken Iverson this morning. I didn't get a chance to watch
cool.
the segment.
Yeah.
But it was really good what I heard so far. He was talking about the strategy that the Ukrainians used over the weekend.
Yeah.
Russians kind of had to withdraw.
I would trust his analysis. I definitely would. You know, he did my show when this all started, and I definitely trust Scott Ritter, who is somebody I know personally. Yeah. And Kim is great too. She was on they put her in The Hill when everyone quit The Hill, and then she ended up quitting eventually too, and does her own gig. She's pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoy watching her.
Cool.
But what Scott was saying was that this withdrawal was kind of strategic for the Russians, that there's like some kind of offensive that's getting ready to happen. And they were kind of like just cutting their losses and, withdrawing without taking much loss and kind of giving the victory to Ukraine. And then I was listening to Rick Wiles, and he's talking about that Russia has issued warnings to Germany and the stuff where they said like they're going to attack the centers of people that are like supplying weapons. Have you heard anything on that? What are you thinking? That might.
Okay. Yes, I've heard a bunch of that. I mean, I think Scott is 100% right, because the objective wasn't to absolve or to take over Ukraine and to own it as a complete territory. It was never that. It was to get Crimea, the Donbass, so the stuff near their border, the stuff near the water. They were going to get all that. And all they needed to do, and all they really need to do, in my humble opinion, is to make it just a little bit longer to where the energy pinch is going to hit Europe. And it's amazing. I mean, people standing in line for, coal, 700 to 7,000% increase on energy. We know it's going to be a very cold winter in Europe, and they kind of hold the key to all of that. So, and I think I've said this on some other podcasts, man, is that if they can just make it and hold on to the territory that they originally set out to have, without losing too much in all of that, there'll be a peace. There will be peace, and they'll end up retaining that that property that they got, which will protect their borders and their commerce and their ultimate goals, because just like the United States or China or something, they have their own goals, right? So it was never to annex or take over Ukraine. Nor was it really to fight Nazis. They just went in and protected the people that were considered themselves Russian, that put a little pad along their border. And I think that that's what they're fighting for. And I'm pretty sure Scott would agree with me on that.
Well, I just worry, man, when he talks about attacking these centers of control and stuff. It just has me concerned.
Yeah.
if he's really going to do that.
Well,
so I thought I'd throw that out.
Yeah, there. Yeah, cool. Yeah. I mean, it's not World War III yet. So one more day, we made it without World War III or 4 or however you're counting, right?
Right on.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you calling, man. Thanks. Support our show, man. Thank you so much. Tell people about our show. Support our show. jackblood@hotmail.com. We've got a couple of really cool t-shirts left. You guys can get in. I think we're down to like 8 more. I just need to sell 8 more of those, and then I can print them and get them out to everybody. Whatever happens at the end of the month, maybe you'll end up having one of 25 or something instead of one of 30, which is what we kind of set out to do. I mean, it seemed like a pretty small goal. I've got other shirts to come along behind it that are all very limited editions. So I'd sure love you to do that if you haven't already. If you have already, it's a $50 donation, jackblood@hotmail.com. PayPal or Zelle. Either way, we get those. I just need to know your shipping address and what size you want that shirt in. I'm going to have to come back. Some of you that didn't provide that information, I'll be coming back and emailing you here in just a week or two and trying to make sure I get all those sizes. So it's just a smarter way. If you pre-order stuff now, especially things that are sized, it's just a way more efficient way to do it. And I like it that way. Cool. Well, we'll have video pretty soon. All right. Black Ubiquity. Peace unto you. Tom, shouldn't you be playing back? Oh yeah, we started with that. I know. Chemtrails. I have a great piece that we did. It's Prince, Dick Gregory, and Beck Chemtrail. I made this montage that I'd love to find at some point and play that. It's so great. Manganese. Better watch out for the manganese. That just came up in the news recently. Yeah, it's the solution. It's in your electric car. It's in your battery. Your battery in your electric car. That is pretty brutal. Well, virtue signal to me all you want. I'm not against electric cars in general. I'm more for hydrogen cars or fusion, not fission cars. I mean, there's lots of ways we could do that. I'd like the smell of gas and oil, so I don't think we should ever do away with gas cars altogether. But I'm not an oil pimp, so I am for alternative energy and all the rest of it. But manganese, which isn't the stuff that they just take out of the ground and then pour it right into your battery, it's refined. And refined manganese, as my old pal Dick Gregory did this great rant on, will make you kill your mama. I don't know if there's a correlation between, because that's also in the chemtrail shit. Again, what in the world are they spraying? It's it's in the batteries in your electric car and God knows what else. Refined manganese. They've done surveys and found out outside the plants that refine the manganese, the murder rate is something like 900% higher than it would be anywhere else. So I'm sure that's just all a coincidence that we're surrounded by this refined manganese everywhere and people are very violent and very upset. Glad you made it here, Jeff. Appreciate it. Yes, that's right. Hot Cheddar. Another AJ trial started today. We'll be covering it if there's anything to cover. Not buying any damn video games, Jay. I know. Jared, he just called in. I didn't know you wrote that. But yeah, I mean, Maybe your kids want them. They keep asking me to promote them on this show, and I keep turning them down, and partially because it's quite complicated to even work with these kinds of advertisers. Any Jack Blood head wraps in the future for donations? What's a head wrap, man? Jeff, you mean a bandana? Good idea. I have posters. I've done hats before. This is my band, Dead on Cue. We just got booked for some show. I think it's a Cramps tribute show near Halloween. These are all gone now. So all the records I made are all sold. All my music stuff just always sells out. Head wraps. Let's go with that and call it a bandana. I'd like to do that. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Sometimes music shows on the roof. Sometimes music shows on the roof. Another Van Meter. Is that Donna? Sometimes music shows on the roof. Sometimes music shows on the roof. I'm trying to figure that out. People have music shows on the roof? Cool. I like it. Crow 55555. Jack's resume. Info babe. I don't know. I'm going to take that as a compliment. They want 30% raise over 30 years. Maybe. I'm on strike. I just stopped paying bills. It's all over. Uh-huh. Oh, that's called a national strike. It's been done in France and in various countries. Now, you will have terrorists running around everywhere, and they will have to bomb you. Your own country will have to bomb people. They're actually setting up for that now. This is, again, because now both, as I mentioned just 20 minutes ago, the extreme left, the extreme right are being driven apart, and the middle is making all the decisions, and they believe there are terrorists running around everywhere. And so obviously that tells you Oklahoma City is about to happen. The signs are all over. Just that's coming. The next 9/11 or what have you. Strikes and boycotts, man. I'm a big believer in them, but and trust me when I tell you, it may not be the strike you want or the boycott you want, but when it is, that's a good way to lobby. My new job, I'm going to go around and reenact biblical stories in real life, like a Civil War reenactment. I'm now going through my Exodus stage. Okay, it sounds interesting. Probably a lot of people would like that. I'll check it out. I do squats. I'm planning on fighting back. Okay. Ed Brown. Okay, it is Donna Van Meter, right? Ed Brown still sits in prison for standing up to the tax man. No. Did you get my updates on this? I'm going to have Danny Riley on. He's almost out of the woods. He's out of jail. Elaine Brown is out of jail. All of them. All the people they did 10 years in prison for that standoff that we all took part in. That someone like Alex Jones promoted and then ran away like a little girl when it got serious. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. Maybe I should edit that part out. That's what happened. I once hosted a concert in front of their house, surrounded by Homeland Security and everyone, several local, state, federal, and ultra-federal forces. That was pretty fun. Ed is fighting all the way. He is not giving an inch. He'd be out of jail right now. Ed Brown would be out of jail. Another Van Meter. He would be out of jail if he kind of said the right things. It's pretty sad. Elaine is they're broken up forever. And she regrets everything that happened. They lost their beautiful house, which they built themselves. They lost everything under the show me the law. You got to be real careful with these show me the law people and all that. And while it's true, and there is definitely something to all of that, and you can get up and fight the tax man. Wesley Snipes, you name them. Even former IRS people that spoke out, they all went to jail. Everybody goes to jail on that. And whatever scheme that somebody has sold you, it's probably not going to work. I found that making very much money is the best way to fight the tax man. That's what I do. Trust me, all your big pundits and media people, especially on YouTube and stuff now, they all pay their taxes. But that's a whole other issue. Ed he's fighting everybody all the time. I think he might be a little unstable, but if that's his fight, that's his fight. Everybody else is out, though. Yeah, see, Ed and Elaine Brown were the first January Sixers, and Alex ran away as usual. Somehow he never gets caught. But you wrote that earlier, so you anticipated what I was going to say. Make more pie. Thank you. There's Jared. How are we going to cut up the pie? My answer is make more pies. You don't have to get a little tiny crumb of the pie that falls off the table and eat it like a rat. Just make more pies. That's what we should all be doing. Buy electricity. Hello, mom and pops. I like you guys. Few months. I know. It's all coming to a head. There's my girl, Kristen. Breaking news. Package explodes at Northeastern University in Boston. Yeah, there were... in Texas, I think it was today, there were a bunch of fake calls to high schools that shooters were coming. So they're already laying the breadcrumbs for this. I don't know, package exploding, University of Boston. I don't like that. Exploding package at Northeastern University sends one to the hospital with light injuries, journalism class. And Holmes Hall evacuating. Did you guys check out that one cop? I think it was a cop. He was being investigated by an investigative reporter. They are still out there in California, I believe. He lost his re-election and went and killed the guy. He was arraigned today. That's another thing. Second device found nearby. Bomb techs on the scene. Okay, we're back to Boston bombings again. 9/11 call for suspicious suitcase on 50 Leon Street, which is Willis Hall and Northeastern University. I'm going to have to check all that out, Kristen. I don't know. 100% of the work. This is Heather. That's up, girl. 100% of the work for the Second Harvest Food Bank. Yeah, I mean, do that. Food banks, man. Don't give to the Red Cross or whatever. I mean, do what you want, man. Do what's in your heart. But if you knew how, like I do, if you knew how charities work or political action committees work, almost all the money just doesn't go to where you want it to go. You know, that thing on the TV, support a child for $30-some a month? It's bullshit. But the food bank isn't. That's food. People go down there every day and they get that food and they eat it and they live off of it. And it's really important that you do support that if you can't do anything else. Veritas, thank you. I appreciate it. It's truth. I try, man. Yeah, it is, Donna. I was talking about Dick's in Seattle. They have shows sometimes at the top of the building. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah. If you ever come to Seattle, you got to get a bag of Dick's. Get me. I'll go with you. The fries are crazy. They're unpeeled, right? You got to dip them in the tartar sauce. There's a secret sauce on the deluxe burger that just blows doors. It's absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a Thousand Island-y thing. Quite good. Quite addicting. Quite good. We need a Dick's near me. They did about 13 years. Ed and Elaine Brown, Danny, Jason. Ed calls good friends of mine on a regular basis. The judge straight up said Ed wasn't remorseful. So, yeah, I know. See, that's the thing. I mean, it goes beyond. I have friends too, Donna, with Ed Brown. It goes beyond not being remorseful. He's defiant. He is full on defiant, which I'm not judging, but he's not getting out of jail like that. So that's where he wants to be. I always got the feeling that Ed kind of wanted to be a martyr. But that's okay. I mean, that sometimes that drives political movements. He is a leader. What kind of leader? I don't know. I just feel so bad that they had to go through all of that. 15th year since the raid of the supporters. Yeah, I mean, we went through all of that with those guys. They stood up. Ed Brown's sentence is when Ed Brown decides to be compliant, remorseful. I mean, if he just decided today, I'm going to be a model citizen, I'm going to go into the parole board or whatever, my hearing, and I'm just going to say, I'm really sorry for standing up against the government, and I was wrong, and everything I did, and I'll never do it again. Even if he's lying, just let him out. Which is what the rest of them kind of had to do. I know. It's brutal. Well, if only... Oh, he does have 14 years left on his sentence? Yeah, but they all had extra time on their sentence. Thoughts on Randy Weaver? Yeah, well, Randy and I were really good friends, and, we lost Randy. Was it last year? He just wanted nothing to do with any of this anymore. He renounced his faith. He just wanted to be left alone, which I think is kind of how it all started, is he just kind of wanted to be left alone with his family until they shot his wife and his kids and everything, and him got shot too. And, they did settle out for a bunch of money, and some of the same people that assassinated his family were left to go out and keep doing that again. It was pretty horrible stuff. And Randy never could cope with what happened. And if that happened to me, I couldn't have either. I think he was actually pretty cool, lived a pretty cool life afterwards, considering what happened to him and his family. Cause I wouldn't have been that guy. I'm not going to say what I would have done. I'm not allowed to say that on the old YouTube. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time. It's so fun to talk to you. Next time, let's get you calling in more. We'll get you on the air. I'll try to get this video thing working. It's been a very long show, 1 hour, 32 minutes. I need more watch hours. So the more I guess I can get in the mood and do this for you, the better off we're going to be. We have a show on Thursday at a Chelly Network at 3 o'clock Pacific time, if not sooner. Look for posts here. Sign up, like us. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notifications so you know when we do these live events. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, I got a lot of weird friends, man. I might have one of them on as a guest here one of these days. It could happen. It could happen. But I just love you guys so much, and I really appreciate you being here and supporting us. jackblood@hotmail.com if you want to send a little karma, if you want to get a T-shirt, anything. If you just want to write and say hi, I'll get you fixed up on this really cool mailing list that we're doing, which shouldn't be too intrusive. And it's not really a list because I want to get everybody involved. But we need help growing this more than anything, and help monetizing this channel more than anything. That would really help me, help my family, and help my message. That would be super cool. I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, I'm Jack Blood, your radio gun, saying be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid. And shine bright, you crazy diamonds.